Hello, hello, hello. So this is day 12 of animating water droplets falling into a cup in Android OpenGL. And this was not happening for past 3 days because my laptop was in a fix. Now it is fixed. So yeah. So that is why day 12 is happening on possibly what could have been day 16, I guess, or 17. I'm not very sure. So yeah. So the basic idea here is to actually we'll just show the start of the scene, as in uh, this is how the scene starts, and now I have to animate the water droplet totally going down and filling the cup and all that. All right. As in, and then I have to restart the water droplet, restart the water droplet, and do that again and again. So this is the basic idea of doing basic idea in this. So the water droplet has to animate, it has to collide, it has to restart, and it has to overflow. All these things have to be done. Um, yeah. Let me first check whether this is actually coming in the stream. The sound is good as well. It has to collide, it has to restart. Yeah, so sound is good as well. You heard that. So yeah, so those are the things. Now during the so we keep a dog with us, right? Everyone remembers this is a dog that is present, and this somehow holds what the current state of affairs are. So we are currently yes. When so we had recalled that during the first pass there are these are two pass algorithm. During the first pass we initialize the buffer program, which is the program created for OpenGL for working with the buffer, and we have a texture output handle for sending output. After this you add the shaders being the C program, GLSL programs, both the texture and the fragment shader. This after this you add the shaders, bind the variables, bind the generated frame buffer as frame buffer, bind the input data texture variable name and the actual texture, bind the texture output as color attachment to the frame buffer. Then the texture output as color attachment. Okay. And the second pass, we initialize and program with shaders and variables. Texture as in the output of the first is the input of the second. And then we revert to the default OpenGL framework. When we have only one texture, output as color attachment 0 by default, the shader program writes value in this. This is something we already know. Now, we last time came up with a solution that there would be two ways in which we will be evolving our data structure, right? So one in which there are two things that needs to be done, right? One is that we need to make sure that so we were initially trying to pass the connected data structure as an array, right? So that was giving us issues. Passing it as an array was giving us issues. Why? Because the OpenGL by default only allows something of size 1000 to be passed as array. So we were planning to have two inputs, right? One is the array, and second is the one is the texture for the connected data, and second is the actual um, Except for the connected data, and second is the actual mm, actual output that needs to be handled. So what we have to do now is make sure that the three things need to be manipulated. That's what we understand, right? One is the output texture. Second is the um, second is scaling it, right? We need to scale it basically. And third is the connected data structure, right? We need to manipulate connected data structure as well. This is our three-pass algorithm as of now, right? Because we need to manipulate three things. One is compute the output at the desired output being the texture at the desired scale, then pass it as the input to be actually shown, and third is the connected data needs to be manipulated as well. Now, if in case the computed stuff can be computed at the same as the output, right? As in, what do I mean by this is, if the texture data that needs to be shown can be calculated at the level of the resolution of the mobile, then we don't need two passes for this. We would only need one pass for this, wherein we don't have to get a texture output which should be fed as an input for the second pass. We can directly use the texture output and then just manipulate it directly. In that, because the calculations can be afforded at that scale, in that case, we only would need two passes. One is to actually manipulate or calculate the things that needs to be calculated at a whatever pixel level, and second is the manipulation of the data structure. Yeah, but that is something that we will take into account at a later point of time. So we'll just jot it down anyway. If we have the computational capability of handling the texture at whatever scale, at scale same as output, comma, then we don't need two passes for this. Then in total, only two pass is required. One for computation of model evolution, two computation and updation of output of model evolution, two is updation of connected data, right? Yeah, so then in that case, only two steps would be required for computation and updation of output of model evolution, updation of connected data. Yeah, this seems fine. Yeah, this is a very valid thing, I assume. Now, what you have to take into account is what is the next step that we need to do, right? So there are many things that are coming into our mind. Currently, there is a two-step data structure, and now we have to move it into a three-step, two-step pass. Now we have to move it to a three-step pass. So this is something that is a bit scary, but we have to do it anyway. Uh, So what could be the next step in this, right? First could be passing connected data as an texture, right? Yeah, that could be one of the things. Passing the connected data as a texture. And then how do I evolve the texture and put the output, right? Third is, so next steps involved is we break down into final things. Did we have next steps before this? Save the output to a text file. This we tried. Wire in the method to normal flow, locate the text file, add it in the asset folder. This we have already done. This was the earlier next steps in which we understood that the text file is all fine and we were able to upload it and all. But the issue now is that we are not able to pass an array to the we are not able to pass an array to the array as big as whatever it is to the GLSL program. So next step is pass int array as texture to GLSL to shaders. Yeah, we will not complicate the lingo. Then another is evolve the uh, evolve uh, compute step based on next step. Based on not next step, based on connected data. Third is update connected data texture. These are the three things that we need to do. So one is the adding the third pass for updating connected data structure. Second is in the first step, after passing the compute, after passing the input, how would you compute stuff? So these three things are the next steps that we should be doing. Yeah, so this is how things are going to be. I would have to pass in the I would have to pass in the int array as texture to shaders. So this is the first step that is important. How do we do it currently? It's also important, right? How do we do it correctly, and we have to update based on. Where am I? Yeah. Yeah, let us see currently how we are doing this. Currently, we are just creating a bitmap and sending it across. Right? In other case, we are just sending a value. So, yeah, there are two cases, right, in which we call text image 2D. In one case, we are actually sending a bitmap. In the other case, we are just sending the identifier and null. So I think we should have to send the int array other than null. That is one thing that I would assume. But anyway, I'll just check. Array. No, this is uniform interpolar we tried. Acha. Okay, they are just saying that you can just send it across as a just send it across basically. Okay. So I just need to create a texture ID and then just send it across. Okay. It all seems very great. Um, and then just I can directly access it. Yeah, maybe we'll try that. But what we will try? Now we have to make sure that not going to be easy. You created a connected down structure. Now you still can do collision, right? That's still fine, I guess. We'll just make sure that it is able to. So in the connected down structure, only the water bits have values other than -1, right? So if we are able to segregate with respect to that, and then we'll just remove as of now the what is that called? That animating thing. So the animation is caused mainly due to the fact that this particular line, right? So if we make sure that this particular line is not used, and if we make sure that we only show water droplets for points that are actually which we will use the connected down data structure as a C, and we'll see if it shows the correct points, right? So yeah, we'll just try out that part. But we would need texture helper, and we'll have load texture. We would do something similar to this, but we would say load connected data as texture, right? And an int. Now the input should be an int array, right? For sure, for sure. Input should be an int array. Now what should I do? All these things would remain the same, right? Texture handle equals int array 0. This would remain the same. GLES20 dot GL gen textures 1 comma texture handle comma 0, and return texture handle. Okay, causing an issue. Handle 0, right? Okay, this is the basic step that is required. Now everything else would be the same except for the fact that width height and all is there. Instead of null, we would be sending. That is basically the same thing as this. So we'll just use it. We have to manipulate it after some point of time. For now, this seems byte buffer dot wrap. int buffer is there. Enter. Will this work? I don't know. So this can be added as an input. Then we'll try and see if that is getting matched at the GLSL shader level. By the way, I've added a plugin. I don't remember. You can just check the plugins as well, and you will get make sure that the raw thing of GLSL, right? It has some, at least some sort of syntax check at the what level? The IDE level. So you don't like just type some random stuff. Precision is not getting handled. Precision is there for sure, but and it is known as undefined type. But most of the things it is able to recognize. There's some plugin that is present. And I just wanted to mention to make it look better. You can also check for the brackets and all that. Since you are just passing a string to you just the GLSL part is basically you're passing a uh, string to the algorithm and a string to the shader program, OpenGL program, and it is difficult for you to debug it, and it is difficult for you to compile it. As in compilation error and debugging error, it is difficult for you to find it. So this plugin helps a bit, not like it helps you a lot, but yeah. Mm, yeah. So just staring at this. So this is, I have not put my empirical cap on as of now. Empirical cap is required for collision detection. I am not, have not sprinkled, what is that called? I forgot the terminology I used in my screen. Uh, intensity? Intensity was the term? Was intensity the term? Sense of urgency. I have not sprinkled sense of urgency to the stream as well because there are a couple of reasons I would tell you. One is this is a comeback stream after my after I fix the fix when my laptop was in a fix, I fixed that. So it's a comeback stream. So that is why I have not put any kind of pressure on me, neither the empirical cap nor the sense of urgency. But yeah, these need to be incorporated. I do have a tendency of spacing out, which I need to catch myself more than often. Yeah. Again, I spaced out, but yeah, these things are to be expected. Now I'll just make sure that I just pass this data to one. uh, I have to do the same things that I did for the texture, initial texture input that I did. I just have to follow the same things. So initial texture input is, what is that handle called? I think it's called texture data handle. Yeah. One is this, second is this, third is this. Okay. What is the data part itself? What does this mean? GL uniform 19. So can I bind multiple things to texture unit 0? That is the question now. This is exactly what I wanted. It's very simple, really. Yeah, thank you. In the initialization code, I need to have two text informations. Okay, great. Okay, there are a couple of lines to pass the variables. There are a couple of lines to activate the texture. And then you can just directly get it. Great, this is kind of pretty awesome. Where do I use GL active texture, by the way? I don't see myself using GL active texture. GL active texture and GL bind texture they have said. Texture data handle. Decal text handle and bump handle. I think this is kind of straightforward. Active texture is there. Uniform one is also. This is the first texture, this is for the second. Naming has to be improved at some point. It's kind of confusing. There is handling multiple things. Both are handles. How can I do this? The data handle, it's not uniform buffer handle. It's uniform buffer. Just a location. This has to be improved, but for now, this is. I'll just put a location. We'll use location and handle. This might cause some kind of inconsistency in the naming, but we'll address the inconsistency at some point. There are a lot of issues with this. Yeah, I'm just sighing and all those things, but yeah, this is fun still. Is there some graphic card issue? I'm not sure. There might be a graphic card issue. Something that I have to fix it, but yeah, it won't be visible in the OBS, but it's kind of very visible. Uh, what was I doing? Yeah, I do a lot of things that space me out. So yeah, we'll just move the variables there, add the variables. Now we'll, instead of using this handles everywhere, we'll have private var connected data location equal to 0 and private var connected data handle equal to 0. This makes for a better living. In this particular case, this is causing inconsistency as of now, but I think connected data location is equal to GLES20 uniform location. Definitely for the buffer program, just use connected. Does make sense? Now we have to do the same things that we did for these steps, but sending data across. Datas. Okay. This will be GL texture 1, right? The binding part, this is not the location, data location. It could be 1. This connected data handle. This data handle. Now, connected data handle will be this. Were we able to send this? I'm not sure. We will remove all this. How one is required? Texture data handles. Texture data analyst nominal score. How to handle this? Okay. The interarray vector. Display the interarray vector. Wouldn't I get the interarray? And this is what? Something like this. This we might have to move to a different thread or something, which is quite possible. But as of now, we are just using the. Actually, it is a load connected down array, not get load connected down. Okay. You have to pass context as well. Yeah. Now we just have to access this buffer. Vertex shader, we don't have even have that to uniform. Be. We'll just run it and see if it breaks something first. So one thing to notice, we are passing a 1D array and the sampler is 2D. This might cause an. See, the sampler is. So I would have never figured out if I didn't have this ID plugin. So the having this ID plugin is not a bad idea. Just to do your normal syntax steps, this seems to be very helpful. is going to install. This is what I expect. No, I got a crash. That integer is 0. What does that even mean? Why did I change the size to 0, man? I don't understand. Stupid thing I did. Why did I put the capacity as 0, man? Yeah, I don't see an issue as of now. Something got passed. But now I would like to access this. When I try to access this, then I will get the issue. Before that, I don't think I'll get an issue. And I can change it to sampler 1D as well. But how am I accessing the 2D array as of now in the fragment shader? Only one. It's a semicolon. I don't think this will work. Should I put filters and all in this? I think I do. Nearest of this time. There's no interpolation in this, right? Nearest one. There is no value interpretation happening at any point here. Current color is also, I think, this is current. It's not a wet 4, right? How is texture converted to wet 4 now? Now I saw how integer is getting passed. What is TC? And what is the texture coordinate? What is the value of vec4 in this? Is it the integer array? I think I would have to get into the integrity of this. Uh, I'm not sure how can a multiple texture using a single shader is one thing. Int array to opengl. Yeah, multiple texture is one thing, but sending just an int array is something else. Mm. I think I have to improve my training stamina. Initially, it was quite a lot, but after that, it has become like 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. But yeah, 1 hour is still better than nothing. I think I have to check how do I convert this? How do I convert 1D array to whatever that needs to be accessed? Let us try accessing it first, right? Maybe it will fail. It will obviously fail, man. What I was saying, texture 2D is a vec 4. I am not, it's just an int array that I'm passing. How do you, it's going never, it's definitely going to fail. Either I have to make sure that, yeah, this is definitely going to fail. I don't think there is some magic that is going to happen that you are able to access the value and it's so yeah, I need to work on the packing and all that. Check how the int array is getting packed as a texture and pack it properly rather than expecting some magic to happen. I'll do that part. I'll take a break. My streaming stamina for this is always 1 hour, I guess. But still okay, other than nothing. Maybe at some point of time it will improve. So yeah, bye bye.